And I do think there is a good argument to be had for specialist provision for very able students, and that's a different debate to have. I do think that.
Could you have that within a comprehensive setting? Are you doing that here? Because I mean, just to backtrack a bit, I always think of you as, because you've had this experience of going to a comprehensive teaching in one, then running a grammar, and now coming back here. My fantasy, as it were, about your professional point now is that you're trying to bring all the things that you really admired in the grammar school environment to a comprehensive environment. So I'd like to hear what is involved in that.
Well, there's lots of things. I mean, the thing I used to think about at Kegs is, let's say the teachers are broadly similar, although they aren't, because there are you learn how to teach in different environments. So I had to step up at Kegs in terms of the routine challenge and expectation and teaching and students in a certain way, compared with how I was used to teaching before. And coming here, I'm using all these teacher skills that I haven't used for ages about differentiation and behaviour management.
On your colleagues or on yourself?
No, myself. So as a teacher, because in both schools. Teaching in those two contexts is different. But so let's say an average teacher, not at Kegs, would come into an environment where it was normal to expect an enormous amount of the students every day without questioning it, without having to so in terms of homework, the difficulty of the work, the depth of the questioning, also the level of responsibility you would give the students. So it was just much more normal to say to a class, there's the equipment, off you go, set it up. I'll come back. I'll come to you in 10 minutes when you've got some questions, and kids would be puzzling things out and doing more things where they could decide what to make or to write, or things like student leadership. How do we organise Model United Nations days? You just say, who wants to set up a Model United Nations Day? Come to a meeting. Okay, you guys, off you go, sort it out. And the students would run it. The teachers would set it up. The students would run it. And that happened all the time, so it was just embedded in the culture that students ran things, that they were trusted. And I'm coming here and I'm finding that, the extent to which that happens is far less than it needs to be, and we're trying to, and so you get into this thing of tolerating lower expectations much more.
And how hard do you think that's going to be to make the change you want to see?
I don't think it's hard. I think it's just to determine, the first thing is just knowing it can be done and deciding that it should be done. So it's just, and it takes time. So my first term, I guess the headline priority has been sorting out behaviour, because even at the level of the expectations you have of people being on time and having a pen and just their general behaviour, I found was far lower than I would have expected, and there's no need for it. And I do think a lot of kids are capable of behaving and acting in a way which is far beyond the level they're allowed to sort of reach in a general day-to-day thing. So we've had to put in a quite strict system here to enforce it, but I'm hoping that in time it will become more self-disciplined.
Is that, what would you call it, zero tolerance, that kind of
Well,
thing?
it is. It's not. That's not a phrase we use, but we're basically saying the lesson disruption should not happen, and there's a system to tackle that. And if it does, although it's more nuanced than that, because teachers are using their judgment, and we've got lots of needy children here who can't just bash up against the wall and be kicked out. But we are taking a very firm line on all sorts of things, automatic sanctions for things, so that children have a firm boundary. But the goal is to, as the phrase we've used, is not to screw the kids down to the floor, but to set them free, and actually making them realise that once you stop wasting all the energy and fighting the teacher who's trying to educate you, and actually open yourself to the possibility of it, there's so many things you can do, and teachers are getting more confident in setting more interesting activities. That's the goal, because they aren't so worried about keeping everything calm. But also we're looking at all sorts of things. We're talking about a number of avenues of student leadership, getting some more senior students involved, setting things up, running things, having a voice. And there are lots of things already that we're building on. It's not like this is absent. It's not like that. I'd be wrong to say that there's nothing like that here at all. It's just the level of it and the confidence that teachers have in thinking, wow, some of our students could do that. I was thinking, yeah, of course they could. That's the goal. But we tee it up that they should feel that it's theirs and they're on it, like a student newspaper, or but also just in the classroom. That the pitch teaching a challenge of lessons. That's the main thing for me.